Moonlight, and it's a review by A.O. Scott of the New York Times. And it fit pretty much the way I think we all felt about it, but Colleen and Liz has heard it, but not Colleen. At any rate, the title of the review is Moonlight. Is this the year's best movie? I think Colleen did read that title. Okay, here goes. To describe Moonlight, Barry Jenkins' second feature as a movie about growing up poor, black, and gay would be accurate enough. It would also not be wrong to call it a movie about drug abuse, mass incarceration, and school violence. Those classifications are also inadequate, so much as to be downright misleading. It would be truer to the mood and spirit of this breathtaking film to say that it's about teaching a child to swim, about cooking a meal for an old friend, about the feeling of sand on skin and the sound of waves on a darkened beach, about first kisses and lingering regrets. Based on the play, In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue, by Terrell Alvin McCraney, Moonlight is both a disarmingly, at times almost unbearably personal film and an urgent social document, a hard look at American reality and a poem written in light music and vivid human faces. The stanzas consist of 3 chapters of in the life of Sharon, played as a wide-eyed boy by Alex Hibbert, as a brooding adolescent by Ashton Sanders, and as a mostly grown man by Trevante Rhodes. The nature and meaning of manhood is one of Mr. Jenkins' chief concerns. How tough are you supposed to be? How cruel? How tender? How brave? And how are you supposed to learn? Sharon's initiation into such questions seems to be through fear and confusion. We first encounter him on the run, fleeing from a bunch of other kids who want to beat him up. Sharon is smaller than most of them. His humiliating nickname is Little, and vulnerably different in other ways as well. His effort to understand this method, to work out the connection between the schoolyard homophobia of his peers and his own confused desires, is one of the tracks in which his episodic chronicle proceeds. Another equally painful and equally complicated is Sharon's relationship with his mother, Paula, played by Naomi Harris, who slides from casual crack smoking into desperate addiction. The drug trade around the Miami housing project where she and her son live is controlled by Juan Mahershala Ali, who becomes a kind of surrogate father for Sharon. The tidy, airy house where Juan lives with her friend Teresa, played by Janelle Monáe, becomes an oasis of domestic stability, a place with hot meals, clean sheets, and easy conversation. Though for someone who at every stage says as few words as he can, easy is a relative term. That this comfort is purchased with the coin of his mother's misery is not lost on Sharon. Quote, "My mama does drugs," he asked Juan at the dinner table, "and you sell drugs." Watching him complete the syllogism in his head and watching Juan's reaction is heartbreaking. But there is much more to Moonlight and to Juan than this brutal double bind might suggest. The drug dealer as default role model for fatherless youth is a staple of hip-hop mythology, pop sociology, and television crime drama. But Juan, like a figure in Kehinde Wiley painting, and for that matter, like Sharon too, in a later phase of his story, evokes cliches of African-American masculinity in order to shatter them. To say that Mr. Jenkins, Mr. McCraney, and the formidable Mr. Ali humanize Juan is to get it exactly backwards. Nobody in Juan's situation, or in Sharon's, or Paula's, has ever been anything other than human. You might think that would go without saying by now, but the radical, revelatory power of this movie suggests otherwise. Like James Baldwin's Go Tell It on the Mountain, or to take a more recent example like Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, Moonlight dwells on the dignity, beauty, and terrible vulnerability of black bodies, on the existential and physical matter of black lives. Only after I had seen Moonlight for a third time, and only after a European acquaintance pointed it out to me, did I notice the almost complete absence of white people from the movie. I don't bring this up to suggest that the movie or my admiration for it in any way transcends, in quotes, transcends race, nor do I want to damn this film so richly evocative of South Florida that it raises the humidity in the theater with the faint praise of universalism. To insist that stories about poor, oppressed, or otherwise marginal groups of people are really about everyone can be a way of denying their specificity. The universe is far too granular and far too vast for any one of us to comprehend, and Mr. Jenkins is far too disciplined a filmmaker to turn his characters into symbols. He does not generalize, he empathizes. Every moment is infused with what the poet Art Crane called infinite consanguinity, the mysterious bond that links us with one another and that only an alert and sensitive artistic imagination can make visible. From the first shot to last, Moonlight is about as beautiful a movie as you are ever likely to see. The colors are rich and luminous. The director of photography is James Laxton. The music, hip-hop, R&B, astute classical selections, and Nicholas Britell's subtle score is both surprising and perfect. But all this beauty, the sensuality of the camera movements, the slowness of many of the scenes, the lovely hush that descends over the final act, is more than just a matter of style and virtuosity. It's integral to the movie's argument. In structure and tone, Moonlight sets its austere naturalism that has become a default setting for movies about social misery. Sharon and Paula certainly suffer for it and inflict suffering on each other, but they are liberated from the standard indie film arc of abjection and redemption. Mr. McCraney's play is a layered and fractured collage of voices, and while Mr. Jenkins has adjusted its shape through the linear demands of narrative filmmaking, he has retained the original vital force of Sharon's inner life. I'm not sure I have ever seen a screen adaptation of a stage play that has been at once so true to the spirit of its source and so completely cinematic. Though the film, like Richard Linklater's Boyhood, is driven more by the flow of experience than the mechanics of plot, there are plenty of twists and reversals. Sharon's friendship with a schoolmate named Kevin, who grows from Jaden Piner to Jarrell Jerome to Andre Collins, all excellent. Those are the three actors that played this character in different stages of his growing up. Evolves through a dance of camaraderie and betrayal that is better witnessed than described. A significant death takes place in the interval between two of the chapters and is mentioned only in passing. And I'll say only in passing. I think Colleen was the only one that picked up on this. Prison sentences are dealt with in the same way. Crime, violence, and incarceration, but no life can ever be the sum of such facts. And perhaps the most beautiful thing about Moonlight is its open-endedness, its resistance to easy summary or categorization. I guess I'm back where I started, trying to decide what this movie is about. As with any original and challenging work, the answer may take a while to emerge. But what strikes me now is less the pain of Sharon's circumstances than the sense that, in spite of everything, he is free. A bullied, neglected, and all but silent child, he grows toward an understanding of himself and his world. And though it is agonizing to witness his progress, it is also thrilling. To be afforded a window into another consciousness is a gift that only art can give. To know Sharon is a privilege. That's it.
Oh my God.
That's right.
What a beautiful beautiful
Yeah,
review. The
some
review is
movies.
almost as beautiful as the
I
movie.
where I could just not crack up while I was doing it. It's just a beautiful
Oh
movie.
my gosh, what a beautiful essay, God! And the movie is
Yeah,
beautiful, and the review really does justice to the film, you know. Um,
yeah.
so that was really
I
wonderful.
sent you a YouTube of the Juan character being interviewed about the film. And that's it
Good.
was what's his name, that Steve Carlson or something. Oh, Colbert
Yeah, I like him.
interviewed
Oh,
the Ali guy, the Mahershala Ali, who plays Juan.
oh, yes.
He's an actor. Apparently he was very prominent in that thing about House of Cards. He's on 4 seasons of that.
Oh,
But
okay.
he talks about this movie in very stirring terms himself.
Oh,
So I sent
great.
you the link to it.
Oh, I
And
definitely will watch that. So,
also that Ta-Nehisi Coates is a wonderful writer. And there's an interview of him about the Black experience, and it's short too. It's an excerpt from the news hour. It has our who's the Gwen Eiffel, who just
okay.
died recently.
Oh, yeah, I
She
remember
and
that.
Judy introduced the Coates interview, and that's
Wow.
that's really a good interview, and it's 7 minutes, so don't miss that.
Well,
If
Richard,
anybody who's recording this and they get it, I hope they'll look at that as well. But boy, what a movie!
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that we're new at this recording business. And see, now I see that I'm just, it's just very rough our first time. Now, when I'm looking at you, where you're kind of leaned back in your chair a little bit, that rectangle thing is more out of your face. But unfortunately, when you were reading, the rectangle thing was kind of right in your face, So those are little nuances that we can work out. I didn't quite realize that you could move around in such a way to get that rectangle out of there. I guess I should have realized that. I would have. But anyways, it was.
Also, the voice thing. I don't think the volume is set. Are you hearing that feedback? I don't know whether that was recorded or not, but I'm getting squeaky feedback.
Are you? Yeah. I'm getting some static feedback. Yeah. So I think that the sound clarity could be improved. I'm also thinking if I did this on my telephone, I've got the video thing on my telephone, and I think I can record it on my phone, and that might give better sound clarity and better picture clarity. So that might be that's going to be a thing to try that may or may not be better. So it's kind of a fun experiment. Thank you. Gosh, that was a really, really good movie review. And A.O. Scott, he's sort of the top of movie reviewers, I believe.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
and I'll be happy if this movie. I mean, this is dark times, and the actor mentions that on the Colbert program too. But I'll be so happy if one gets some kind of supporting actor award, and if the movie itself gets all kinds of awards, which I think it will.
I was saying the same thing to Greg this morning. Yeah.
As soon as they mentioned the movie Moonlight on the Colbert program, the audience burst into applause. So I think people in New York have seen this. And, it's certainly an inspiration and reinforces our love for movies, and we see a lot of not so good movies. So it's it's something like this.
So interesting.
So you think this will be sendable to the point, and after they see the movie, and I guess.
So what I'll do is I'll send it to you so you can see it, and I'm going to mail this video to you. I think I know how to do that. And then we may or may not want to do it again, like on the telephone, or because the rectangle was over your face, and this was sort of a great experience. But I think it's only going to get better, as we learn more how to work this equipment and all that stuff. But I'll save it and send it to you.
Discovered it and mastered it to this extent. I mean, it's a great. I'm sure Liz is going to be thrilled with the opportunity to communicate with her relatives who are pretty far apart.
That's Mary. I guess I never even heard of it, but Mary told me it's better than Skype. It works better than Skype, so it's kind of cool, and it's free. That's pretty remarkable. Yeah. So we'll have a fantastic.
So you're out.
What's that now? Have a
You're
great
out to
Sunday.
pick up Chris now?
Yeah. We're going to take him out to see
Yeah.
Moana, which